Let's understand how the skirt design is carried out for supporting tall vertical vessels. So consider a vessel which is vertically mounted, a vessel which is vertical and it is supported on a skirt which is nothing but a cylindrical structure, or it's a hollow cylinder on the top of which the vessel is mounted, and the skirt is welded to the vessel at the bottommost point. And we have seen that as far as possible the skirt mean diameter has to match with the mean vessel diameter in order to avoid the excessive bending stresses at this particular location. Now when we are considering the stresses which are acting on the skirt, so what we mean by skirt is the portion which is drawn bold here. So you have the cylindrical part of the skirt, and at the base you have got what is known as base plate. So the base plate is the one which gets anchored to the vessel. So the bottom of the skirt, if this is the vessel, you will find that there is a ring which is welded at the bottom of the skirt. So bottom of the skirt would look, so this is a skirt cylinder welded to the base plate, and the base plate is at the bottom, and at the base plate you have holes for the anchor bolts which get uh, grouted inside the foundation. So that is how the design is done. So what we are talking about when we are talking about the skirt design, we are talking about the design of the skirt cylinder, the design of base plate, and the selection of anchor bolts. So those are the topics that we are going to discuss here. Let's consider what all loads we have to consider and what kind of stresses they will induce inside the vessel. So the first type of load is axial stress due to the dead weight. So the vessel will have some dead weight which acts at its center or through its centroid. Since it is acting vertically downward, you will calculate how much compressive stress it will cause in the vessel. So that is called as compressive stress FD. The second stress is bending stress due to the wind load. We'll see later that how to calculate the magnitude of wind load. The property of wind load is that it increases as the altitude becomes more. So at higher locations, you will have higher velocity of the winds, and as a result, higher wind pressure. And this wind pressure, or the proportion of the velocity which acts, it keeps on reducing as you move down. So for wind load, you consider the effect of this triangular load which acts on the vessel. So we'll consider the net force where it is acting. It is not actually totally aggregated, but it is done in terms of sections. So we consider wind force at different sections, calculate the forces, and then calculate the moment of all these forces on the vessel. So that is the wind moment which you calculate, and because of this wind moment the skirt will have bending stresses. So in this figure for the given wind moment, the right hand zone will be subjected to compression whereas the other will try to uplift. Of course it will be prevented if the dead weight is sufficient enough, otherwise you'll have to provide anchor bolts to avoid this upliftment because of the moment. So the bending stresses which are caused because of the wind force, they are termed as F subscript W B. W for wind, B for bending. Similarly, the bending stress because of the seismic load, they are also calculated. So the seismic load action is different. In the seismic load, you are having the not the sideward force acting on the vessel, but what you have is during the seismic load, you will have the ground will be shaking. So it will shake both in horizontal and vertical direction. But the horizontal movement or horizontal acceleration is much higher as compared to the vertical acceleration. And that is the one which is considered. So as this particular ground shakes with certain acceleration, the entire vessel will also, whatever the vessel weight which acts at the centroid, so that mass into acceleration will give you the resistance that the vessel will offer to this ground motion. So this force is considered as the seismic force that is calculated, and this force multiplied by distance will give you the moment which is acting, and it will cause a moment which is the seismic moment. And again, just like the wind, you can calculate the stresses on the vessel because of the seismic moment. So both wind and seismic forces can act in any direction. So you have to consider the worst combination. As I said earlier, both wind and seismic are rarely considered together. So both are considered independent of each other. So in that way, their interaction is not important. The stress which is calculated under the seismic forces is termed here as FSB, S for seismic, B for bending. So the total stress which is acting on the skirt support would be given as combination of deadweight stress and the bending stress. So the maximum tensile stress would be given as the maximum tensile stress because of wind or seismic. So wind and seismic, on one side they will cause tensile stress or uplifting stress on the cylinder. So that tensile stress minus the deadweight stress. Why minus? Because the deadweight stress is always compressive. So although the seismic stress will be compressing at compressive at one end and tensile at the other end in the cylinder. So here we are talking about the stresses in the cylinder. The seismic force, the deadweight stress is always negative. So deadweight stress, irrespective of whether you are talking about this end or the other end, is always in the downward direction. So they will negate each other. So that's why here you are having the minus sign for the deadweight stress. And the total compressive stress is compressive stress because of the wind or seismic, whichever is maximum, plus the deadweight. So they will be additive to each other. So in that sense, you calculate the stresses in the vessel, in the skirt, sorry. So there will be maximum tensile stress in the skirt, and there will be maximum compressive stress in the skirt. For both compressive and tensile, there are different allowable stresses. For tensile, you will consider the yield strength basis or ultimate strength basis. So yield or ultimate strength divided by factor of safety will give you the allowable tensile stress. However, for compressive, you'll have to do buckling calculation. So when the skirt is under compression, you'll have to find the allowable axial buckling stress. So before the crushing of the skirt happens, it will buckle. So the allowable stress is in terms of the buckling stress. So that needs to be calculated. So here in this particular calculation, we will not be going into how to calculate the axial buckling stress. In the external pressure calculation, we have calculated the circumferential buckling stress, how to deal with the circumferential buckling. In this case, we are talking about the longitudinal buckling. So there a different approach is required to calculate the allowable stress. We'll not be going into that detail, but you should be aware that for the skirt, the allowable tensile and the allowable compressive stresses are different, and they are based on different philosophies. Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, so how do you calculate stress because of the dead weight, that is FD? So it is simply given by the load divided by area of the skirt. So if you look the top view of the skirt, the DSK is the mean diameter of the skirt. So this is DSK, and TSK is the mean thickness of the skirt. So pi into DSK is mean circumference multiplied by thickness will give total cross sectional area of the skirt. So weight divided by the cross sectional area will give you the stress. So that is how the dead weight stress is calculated. Okay, for now we will go into details of how do we calculate the moment because of the wind load. So we first will calculate moment because of the wind load, and then we'll calculate the stress because of this bending moment. So consider a vertical vessel which is supported on the skirt. So as we said previous slide, the wind force, it keeps on changing as the altitude changes. So wind force is maximum at the top part of the vessel and it keeps on decreasing. So this variation is available in the design course what we previously talked about, and from this you will get at which altitude what is the wind pressure to be considered. So accordingly you will divide the vessel into different number of sections. So we'll have different sections. So let me call this is section 1, this is section 2, section 3, and so on. So there are different sections. For each section you will have a particular value of wind pressure which I am calling as small p, p1, small p1, small p2, or in general small pi. So for every section there will be different value of wind pressure which will get from the wind design code. Now the load acting, so on the ith section the pressure is small pi. So the total force which is acting on this ith section is given by the formula which is shown here. So the formula is, I'm just zooming it so that you can see it clearly. So this particular force is given in terms of the pressure on that particular zone Pi. So this you will obtain from the wind design book or wind design code. The product HI into DOI are given as HI is the height of this section. So this is HI, and DOI is the outside diameter of this particular section. So that gives you the projected area on which this wind pressure is acting. So you are having from the top, looking at the top, the DOI is the area which is subjected to the wind, which is obstructing the wind flow. Now as you can see here, the total net wind force acting on this circular shape will be different than if it was, for example, a building, a rectangular building on which it is acting. So the net force which acts on a structure, it depends on the shape of the structure. So that is taken care by the factor K1, which is known as the shape factor. So for circular or cylindrical structures, which we are dealing here, this factor is between zero point 0.7 to 0.85, and it is higher for vessels. So this 0.85 is for vessels with more external attachment. So here a lot of ladders or some platforms or lot of pipings which are moving around the vessel. So in that case you will consider a higher factor, otherwise the minimum factor is 0.7 which you will have to consider in the design. So theoretical force will be given by shape factor multiplied by pressure multiplied by the projected area. So remember that when we are talking about the area, you will in general consider the vessel is, if it is insulated, we'll consider the diameter including the insulation. So DO will include the insulation if it is given. So it includes the insulation thickness as well. So diameter after the insulation thickness would be considered for the calculations. If it is not given, you have to proceed with the actual metal diameter. Okay, the factor K2, it is more related to the dynamic response of this particular vessel. So it depends on the natural frequency or the period of vibration of the vessel. So depending on the period of vibration is less than 0.5 seconds or more than 0.5 seconds. So this is an empirical approach. The factor K would be either 1 or it would be 2. So for this calculation, for determining K2, you should know what is the period of vibration. So the period of vibration is given approximately by the formula which is shown here. So it is 6.35 into 10 to power minus 5 multiplied by h by d ratio and w by t ratio raised to certain powers, and it is given in seconds. So you have to be noting down what is the units for this particular h, w, d and t. So although in the exam the formula as such would be given to you, you have to remember what units to be used for use of this particular formula. So once you use this formula, you will find the period of vibration, and using that you can calculate the factor K2. Once you know the factor K2, then you can calculate the wind force which is acting on the ith section. So the ith section where the wind pressure is Pi, the force on this section is given as capital, the force is given as Pwi. So that is the force acting on ith section. So you'll have force which is acting on first section. So you will have Pw1, you will have Pw2, Pw3 and so on. So we'll get at different sections, different forces would be acting. Once you calculate these forces, the total moment at the support is given as multiplication of the force multiplied by the location of that force from the base. So this capital HI is the location of the force from the support. So for example, if you are talking about this PW3, so PW is PW3, then HI would be distance between centroid of that section to the base. So this is H3. So we are talking here, this is H3 and this is the centroid of the third section. So in that way, for every section you have to calculate the force multiplied by the distance. You will get the total moment which is acting on a particular section. Once you get the total moment, the stress would be given in terms of m divided by z. So sigma bending would be given as m divided by z, where the z is the section modulus of the skirt cross section, which is given in terms of the mean skirt diameter and thickness of the skirt by this particular formula. So this is the section modulus of the circular cross section of the skirt, and the plus or minus sign indicates that in this circular cross section of the skirt, so if the skirt, if you look at the top view and the wind moment is acting about this axis, and it is acting so that this side is compressive and this side is tensile, you'll find that the highest compressive stress will occur here, which is given by this particular formula, and the highest tensile stress will occur at the diametrically opposite point, which is again given by the same formula with different sides. So here the tensile stress and the compressive stress will be occurring at two opposite ends, and in between everywhere the stresses will be different. And since the wind force can act in any direction, so here we are assuming the wind is acting from right to left to cause this moment, but the wind can act in any direction, so all the points are critical. So it is no locationally the entire cross section need to have the same stress levels. Okay, so that is the summary of how do we calculate the bending stresses because of the wind. So to summarize, you will break the vessel into different sections, calculate the forces acting, wind force for individual section, take moment of that force at the bottom point of the skirt or the base level, add of all the moments because of different section forces, you will get total moment, and because of this moment divided by the section modulus of the skirt cross sectional area will give you the bending stress, and it will be tensile at one point of the skirt and it would be negative at the diametrically opposite point. And since the wind can act in any direction, all points are equally eligible for failure. Now let's look how do we deal with the seismic moment.